Hi, welcome to class. We're the only two right now, but the other ones will show up eventually, right? I hate my life. I hate my life. A Professor Sunreis Productions!
Hello class, Professor Sunreis here. Like I promised yesterday in my deck profile of my Horus Bystial Synchro deck list, today we'll be taking a look at some nice combo tutorials, just a few test stands, because the nature of the deck being super non-linear, of course it doesn't really make sense to show 2 to 3 card combos with all of the mills, all of the draws. I want to give you guys a very realistic approach of how comboing off with the deck actually feels like. For that we will be taking a look at just some really nice and quick test hands, and then in the next videos we'll be taking a look at some replay analysis and to see if the deck actually is able to keep up with the current meta on Dueling Book. So without further ado, don't forget to seal pass on the subscribe button, leave some feedback down below, and let's get right into the video. So here we are with some actual test hands, and as you can see, the very first one is actually kind of a brick. You can't really do a lot with this. And by the way, before we go into the actual test hands, do you want me to do those things here in Dueling Book where we have like a very well-rounded platform and we can see everything, or do you guys prefer if I do it in real life with my setup? There are quirks and benefits for both of them, I believe, but I think this is a little cleaner. But what we would do in this scenario here is we would use the Lebellion to search a Magnamod, and then actually we would use search a Magnamod, then we would summon the Magnamod, banishing the Lebellion, use the Magnamod, and then we would tribute that for the Lebellion, use the Lebellion effect and get the regain. And then we would have to use the Drew's Worm, banish that, and maybe we draw something good here. We drew a Crimson Gaia, so actually we could be doing something more here. Let's quickly think. We can activate the Crimson Gaia and search ourselves a Vision Resonator. And now we could summon the Vision Resonator, go for a 10, but we cannot really extend off that. We could make a Scar Rat, make a Seal, but that is basically it, right? We make Scar Rat, make a Seal, we summon another one. We don't really have anything to do afterwards, so we probably are best served by, I guess, making a Dissipator and then linking that off. It is a very awkward hand, like I said, but sometimes these things just happen. Imagine if our Lebellion got ashed here, the talents would have put in some work. If we had a Fenrir, that would have been like Fenrir Imperm plus a Seal plus a Magnamod Resolve, probably is fine. Or if the Crimson Gaia was a Vision Resonator, we could have gone for a Scar Rat, then trigger the Vision Resonator, get the Crimson Gaia, search another Vision Resonator, we could normal summon that. Then after normal summoning that, we could go for a Zombie Vampire, but let's just quickly go for another test hand. Another test hand which basically just died to an Ash. I don't know what's wrong with this man, but we would do an M-Steady here. Let's just quickly say we don't get ashed here. For realistic stakes here, we draw one. I would start out with the Kingsucker, like with the M-Steady here. The amount of Lebellions getting ashed is not zero, so the amount of times where you can go for Lebellion and this gets ashed and then you can go off with the M-Steady is really huge. Together with the Branded Regain, yeah, that's an even better cause, but I am very worried of Droll in the format, and getting the Horus engine, of course, is way more important than getting the Lebellion going under the Droll, if there is a Droll. Especially later on in the format, I think Droll is going to get more and more popular, and this deck plays through Droll kind of efficiently if you do it correctly and if you prioritize your searches like that, where we always go for the Horus before we go for the Lebellion. I think that is the correct call. Let's quickly think what we would be doing here. We do already have the full setup for the Scar Rat line. The only problem is that we don't currently have a Dark Engrave which we want to banish, so we would go for the Zombie Vampire first, bait a few hand traps here and there, and see what happens. I would activate the Lebellion though to get a Magnamod before I do that though, because I don't really want to mill that. So we activate the King Sarcophagus, we summon M-Steady first to play around Bystial, so always get the M-Steady out first and then the Harpy, and then we just go for a Zombie Vampire here. Effect of the Zombie Vampire, and we mill 1, 2, 3, 4. No real clean mills. Unironically, this might be a Fenrir angle, like I said last video. Yeah, I think Fenrir here is probably the best one. We already have everything else, and one random level 8 body is not gonna cut it. So Fenrir here, is it gonna be? We use the effect of the Fenrir, and we get out another Fenrir out of the deck. Then we activate Regained here. I think we want to use the Regained here immediately and to recycle one, because if we would get nipped here, we don't really have a way to trigger the Regained afterwards. So in my opinion, it is a fair thing to do here. So we trigger Magnamut, banishing, I guess, an Imsteady. Put that at the bottom of the deck. And we draw one. It's a talent, so that's pretty good. We summon the Assault Synchron. And I guess we could have gone for the Assault Synchron as well. If we know we're up against a very hand trap heavy deck, which plays a nib, we could have summoned the Assault Synchron. And then we could have used the Magnamut and the Assault Synchron of the Zombie Vampire to go for the whole line. If we then get nipped on the Lubellian, Scar Red, and the Red Dragon Archfiend being on the board, we still have the Assault Synchron in the hand, and then the Magnamut we summon off the regain plus talents, and that would be something. But I don't really play around nip in game once at all this format, and I think it's correct to do so just because the card isn't popular whatsoever. So we go for the Scar Red here. We've triggered the Magnamut, of course, and now we can summon the Lubellian, attributing this. Chainlink 1 the Assault Synchron, Chainlink 2 the Scar Red, summon Red Dragon Archfiend, and summon back the Scar Red. Here we would have gotten out the regain if we haven't hard drawn it. Like I said, a second copy, like a target, doesn't really make sense in my opinion. It's just too bricky. And then we go for the Coach King Giant Trainer, and then we just draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Oh, those draws are perfect. We have to keep in mind that we can definitely heavily manipulate the draws here. A lot of times you don't even need to get both of the Horus cards in there, or you can use, for example, if we draw a Vision Resonator and we already have used our normal summon, we can use the King Sarcophagus to pitch the Vision Resonator and then use a Search the Crimson Gaia, mill our deck of an Imsteady, so we don't want to draw that because we already have a King Sarcophagus going. Then we can use the Crimson Gaia and thin our deck before we continue to use the second and the third draw. Stuff like that is really gonna matter, especially post-side if we are trying to dig for the anti-spell, for the ashes, for the high-impact non-engines which we are playing, of course. So we drew perfect, honestly. There's not a lot we could ask for. We can use the Bystial Saronia on the... it doesn't really matter. Let's just put it on here. Summon it. Use the Ready Fusion, pay 1k. And then summon out the Allvein. Only thing which we're missing is Vision Resonator, but it is fine. We use that to summon back the Allvein. Oh wait, can you actually do that? This 3 fusion summon. Yeah, we can do the holy shit. This is the first time this came up. And we could have also summoned the Soul Synchron, right? Okay, but you can do that. Things you learn with the deck. Then we go for the Dispater, and now we use the Dispater to summon back. Let me think here. We probably have to put the Dispater here because we want to link this off. We have a small problem because we don't have the Crimson Gaia. We cannot end on the whole board, but we really want the Baron and the Dispater in the grave. So I think we go for the Synchron here, and then summon the Drew's Worm on the. It doesn't really matter. I guess we banish the Saronia, and then we link. I guess we synchro those off into a Baron, and then we make an IP here, and then keep the Zombie Vampire as a follow-up threat on the board. It's kind of hard to out because they cannot target it, so they have to get rid of this. And this is the end board. We are lacking the Vision Resonator. If we had the Crimson Gaia package here, not only did we have one more level 2 tuner to turn into anything, but we could have also popped one of those with the Baron. To get another dragon onto the board so that we can turn Dispater and the Scar Red or the Red Dragon Archfiend, depending on what we summon, to go into a seal. Sadly, I couldn't showcase that. Hopefully we get another test hand where we can actually do that. Okay, here we have another beautiful test hand where we can showcase a lot of the sequencing which you could do correct but also do wrong with the deck. So we have Fenrir, Chaos Space, Seyfert, Imsteady, and Harpy. And yeah, using Imsteady here is probably the correct play to start. If we get Ash on this though, it would kind of suck, but I think we have to do that. What you could also do is go for Fenrir and then use Fenrir effect to discard of that, but because our discard for the Imsteady is a Harpy, we are super fine with doing that first, and Fenrir is usually only saved for the second discard of the King Sarcophagus, not of the inherent discard of the Imsteady, because we'll have to discard one good card anyways for the whole engine. So I would much rather play around the Droll and use the Imsteady here and pitch a very good card already. Even if this wasn't a good card, I would still do that, because then we would search the King Sarcophagus, we would draw a card, and let's say, oh, these are all good cards, and now we can summon the Fenrir, use the effect, and then pitch the extra Fenrir to send a Harpy. We don't have to do that because we already drew a Harpy, but most of the time this is what you're gonna do. Drawing Ready Fusion here, by the way, is broken. Chaos Space is also another card which is usually discarded for the Imseti if we draw both, just because resolving Imseti and Chaos Space both is super hard, especially because we don't really have a lot of search target. It's only the Chaos Dragons and the Lebellion, and good hands usually have one of them be to begin with, so Chaos Space a lot of times is just gonna be a discard. We quickly have to think what we want to be doing here. We do have the Sacred plus the Ready Fusion to go into a Dissipator, a Baron, or a Seal, and draw one card to get going. But what I would always go for, and I think it is the correct approach, is just go for a Zombie Vampire and open up all of the options there are. Because milling in this deck is so broken, and if you have a good mill, you can play out your hand that way that you play into all of the good mills. And of course, to do that efficiently, you will have to go for the mill first. Yeah, you could mill a Regain. Yeah, you could mill a Crimson Gaia, but those chances are super small. They are, yeah, they can hurt and they are annoying, but they are not automatically game losing. So we are super fine in doing that. If this would get imperm, we would just continue with our plays, which we have. Yeah, we milled a Regain here, but we got a Vision Resonator and an Assault Synchron. Both of those are pretty decent. I would probably, it doesn't really matter what we summon here. Let's just summon the Assault Synchron and then trigger the Vision Resonator to search a Crimson Gaia, and then we use the Crimson Gaia to search a Vision Resonator. Now we have multiple options. We can use the Ready Fusion to go for a Synchro template, and then use the Sacred plus the Vision Resonator to go for the whole Coral Dragon push. But what I want to do here is use the Chaos Space to pitch the Vision Resonator to get the Bystial engine going, because of course we want to get that rolling. Even though we don't really have access to Bennett Regain anymore, it is still correct to do so, especially because we have a Soul Synchron here and we can go for some nice big pushes. So we use the Lebellion here and then search a Magnamut, special the Magnamut by banishing a Vision Resonator, so we have a level 2 tuner banished, always good. Trigger Magnamut on the board, and then we go for the Scarlet. And then we summon the Lebellion, get that into the graveyard, trigger Assault and trigger Scarlet, summon the Scarlet back and summon a Red Dragon Archfiend out of the extra deck. Yeah, Lebellion here would have been nice, but it is not the end of the world. We go for the Coach King Giant Trainer, and here at this point everyone would use a Nibiru. So what we can actually do here is normal summon Sacred and use the effect to search out a White Dragon Wyver Burst, I believe, yes. Doing so gives us the option to not draw it. Yeah, of course, we could still search the Cold Observe, or we could do the whole play here. And honestly, we can actually do that, because like every sane person would use their nip on this spot. We can go for the Wyver Burst, go for the Ready Fusion, pay 1k, and then go for the Allvein. Use those two to go for a Coral Dragon, trigger the Wyver Burst, and we can even recycle that. That's pretty poggers, not gonna lie. We're just lacking one draw, but that's fine in the end. Trigger Chaos Space here, and we still get to draw 5 cards. Gotta love to see it. Where did this Fenrir come from? If we draw it... Where did the Fenrir come from? Well, I guess it just came from somewhere, but we didn't have the ability to summon it, right? I cannot really remember. It doesn't really matter, right? Here we can go for a Dissipator or a Baron. What is good about Dissipator, it gives the extension lines, and we still get into a lot of draws, so any Bystial here would extend our lines, and I still would want to go for that. We draw one, and then we search the White Dragon Wyver Burst. Doesn't really matter how you chain it, you will never draw the white because it's under the deck. So we got the additional Bystial here to go for a Baron as well, because we haven't used the Exile Synchro Dragon yet. So let's just quickly draw 3. 1, 2, 3. Nothing really here to do with that. And then we go for the Saronir on It Doesn't Matter. Let's, apart from Save and Lebellion, of course, let's, I guess, banish the Allvein. Then we summon Assault, use that to summon back, I think we have an Assault Synchron. No, we don't. So we summon back an Assault Synchron, so it's alive in the graveyard. And then we go for a Baron. over the Axel Synchro. Then we have used everything in this hand here, so we quickly just will make an IP, yes, an IP. And then we use the Safered effect to get the Lubellion, and look at this amount of follow-up. I don't know if the Fenrir was in the hand the whole time, maybe we could have summoned it. If that was the case, we would have summoned that, of course. If not, we of course don't do that. And then in end phase here, we actually have too many cards. We already have to discard one, so I guess we would have saved the Safered in the graveyard. And that is even without a regain. This is the amount of follow-up this deck can enable. Yeah, we only have 5 cards in the extra deck. 4 once we get rolling, but that's also because we have milled our regain. Usually with regain you can recycle lots of your resources. We can recycle the zombie vampire, we can recycle the red dragon archfiend so that we can always summon in the back of a Scar Red to get additional bodies. We can recycle the IP, we can more importantly recycle the SP, and then just play a board control game afterwards. If Baron stays on the board, we probably win anyways, but we can recycle this as well. There are lots of ways to get lots of resources back into the extra deck, and honestly, having a changing in there plus like a dark is probably more than enough, especially with the big beat sticks we have here. We don't really struggle dealing with bodies, especially in a simplified game state with Druze Worm and big beat sticks. That hasn't really been a problem in my testing. Let's do one more test hand and see how it goes. So here we have one more test hand, and it is looking good again. Why do I keep drawing Harpy? Black Dragon is not something we want to draw anyways. Let's go for the Harpy here, of course. There's nothing really else we can do. And if this would be getting Ash here, for example, let's play without the Insanity. Because a lot of times, trust me, if you play this deck, Insanity is going to get Ash and you will be feeling sad. What would we do to extend? Well, it is pretty simple. We would activate Ready Fusion. Another reason why the Scar Red package is so broken in my opinion. We go for the Allvein. We would use the Ceremony before, I guess, to play around the opponent's Bystials. And then we go for a Scar Red, but the line dies to a Bystial anyways. So there's nothing really we can do about that. And then send a Lubellion. And then we summon the Lubellion over the Scar Red, trigger the Scar Red, and get a Red Dragon Archfiend out of the deck. We use the effect of Lubellion, get a Regained. Where is the Regained? Yes, there it is. And then we go for an overlay here on the Zombie Vampire, and then use the Zombie Vampire, and we have to hit good here. More importantly, we have to put away the Lubellion so that we can banish it off the Chillhop Serpent. So let's mill 4 here and pray a Baldrake, a Vision Resonator. This is oh my god, this is perfect. Because the Vision Resonator triggers, we actually, and we don't have a normal summon, we could still get 2, no, we cannot get 2 of them. I think we want 2 though, right? Because we can banish 1. Actually, yeah, I think we want a Baldrake. We should want a Baldrake. And then the Crimson Gaia Search goes off of the Vision Resonator. We activate that, we summon, we search a Vision Resonator, and then we banish the Lubellion. We can special summon the Vision Resonator in case we draw a Safered, I guess, or anything else which we would want to normal summon here. And then we go for the Coral Dragon, effect of the Chillhop Serpent. We summon, like, search Wyver Burst, summon Wyver Burst, banishing that, triggering Regain. Most importantly, the Chaos Space can be triggered by Lubellion whenever we want. Later on in the combo, we draw 1, we draw a Druze Worm, another Extender to get something onto the board. That is pretty good. We can go for, yes, we can go for a Dissipator here. Trigger the Coral Dragon, trigger the Wyver, the Wyver Burst. Now we have that. We don't have a level 2 tuner in the banish pile, but we did draw a Druze Worm to get that going. Let's say we didn't draw the Druze Worm just yet, so we would use the Chaos Base to put back a Lubellion and draw 1 more. Maybe we draw an Assault Synchron. Okay, we didn't, I mean, we haven't used Lubellion, right? No, we started with that, so we can go for Lubellion. But in this case, if we didn't use Lubellion, this one is the bottom at the deck. We have 1, 2, 3, no, 1, 2, 3. We have a lot of still very good top decks to get into, is all I'm trying to say. And like I said, this deck, it draws so deep. A lot of the times you will have, like, if you say we have like 5 engines, we would have 4 engines available at any point in our combo, or like at the end of our combo, I should say. So the likelihood, and you should definitely play around that, of you hitting all of the pieces is very, very high, and we should combo accordingly because it's just so realistic that it's gonna happen. So we use Magnamod here, effect Magnamod on that, so now we can go for the Vision Resonator. Then we can turn those into an Axel, and then turn that into a Baron. Turn those 2 into a Seal, and I guess we can summon the Drew's Worm, banishing another Vision Resonator, and to turn those into an IP. And now we have the perfect end board, which we want to end on through an Ash on the Horus engine. It is it's just a perfect deck. End phase, he would probably add back a Drew's Worm depending on the matchup, but because we have IP, it, in my opinion, is just the correct thing. And then we can have Seal. We have IP plus Drew's Worm into an SP. We trigger the regain in the meantime to probably banish that and draw a card. We have a Baron negate. We have a regain to summon back a Dissipator. We can use our Drew's Worm to also banish something out of the opponent's graveyard because we had a zombie vampire, or we could have used any of the like the Drew's Worm in our turn to do that, to turn off the Dissipator, or turn on the Dissipator to have another disruption. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Drew's Worm is the 5th disruption, and then SP for the 7th disruption, and a Seal summoning back a Magnamod out of the deck for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines of follow-up, plus like all of the stuff which is still on the board. We still have a King Sarcophagus in the, like 2 King Sarcophagus in the deck. We have an Setting in hand, so this whole engine is alive in the next turn as well. If at any point something of our board gets destroyed by battle or card effect, or we use the Baron to destroy a monster, we get back a Scarlet Dragon Archfiend, getting us another big beatstick onto the board. We don't have an Assault Synchro, but if they try to SP, break apart our board, banish a Dissipator, banish a Scarlet, they cannot do that because then the Assault Synchron would trigger. It's just such a sticky board with so much follow-up, with kind of layered disruption in the form of Regain and Seal working through a Dark Ruler, Regain being in the back row to begin with, and then just a very good variety of non-destruction, non-targeting removal in the form of Seal, non-destruction removal in the form of SP, an Omni Negate, and then the Dissipator being a soft negate or a pop, like on depending on what you want to hit. It has both of the effects of Dissipator have very, very good applications against a lot of decks. Most of the time the negate is better, but this is where Zombie Vampire comes in clutch, because we can, a lot of times if the opponent is playing lights or darks, we can get the Dissipator alive. So it's just the perfect, well-rounded deck, and it's crazy how all of the tools of this deck combine into what it is. And what it is, oh my god, I love this deck so much. I hope you guys can understand that. But before our cream up pants, we probably should call it a day. Class is dismissed. You guys are free to leave. Professor Sunreis out. Peace.